Hello, the world. Hello, the world. Hello, seekers of truth. How's that for a beginning? Guten Abend. Yeah, nice to see you. Nice. Okay, the computer is already heating up, getting excited, getting ready for the talk. So if you haven't been to one of my talks before, I'll just quickly inform you how it works. So I do the talk on YouTube. And you can ask me questions through Skype. My Skype address is lisacairns12, and you can send me a written question, and if you want to call in, just call me and don't put anything else afterwards, and then I'll call you when I'm ready. We're slightly out of time. I'm slightly ahead of you because I'm so freaking enlightened. I go faster than time and space, and so I'm always ahead of you. So therefore, if you just called, then you would mess everything up because you're behind me. Yes? Sie verstehe? That is all. So my Skype address, if I didn't say already, is lisacairns12. I would just force quitting a lot of programs to try and stop my computer sounding like it's taking off to another planet, which maybe it is. When we talk about this subject, maybe it is taking off to another planet. If you do want to call in, make sure that you've got a headset with a good internet connection and that you're in a quiet location. It's a bit uncomfortable for other viewers if it's like from wind or like chatting from background because you're in a zoo or something. You know, I've had everything. This is my 11th year. I think I've done 10.5 years of live streaming and talks. I've had everything. I think the worst one that I had, for me, I felt like a real git afterwards, was this person was listening while they were playing the bass, I think, or the cello, I think, for the Lion King in London. And they were typing me messages. This was really in the beginning. And they were typing me messages while in between playing for the Lion King. They actually got me tickets to go and see the Lion King. Really lovely guy. He met my mum. And as a joke, I played music. So he's in there listening to me and then playing the cello, and then I played music. This was before streaming was like band music. And afterwards, like, he said that it like really threw him and he had to like pull out his headphones, and yeah, I think he was a bit late with the music or something, and I felt like a bit of a git. It was just a joke at the time. I thought it was hysterical, but afterwards when I reflected, I was like, yeah, not a nice thing to do. I think I played something really stupid, like a rap song as well. The opposite from the Lion King. Yeah, so, but if you do call in from a weird location, make sure it's quiet, good internet connection and headset, because otherwise it gets all echoey. And who knows, maybe I will update to Zoom soon, so it'll be easier for everybody. Zoom, zoom, zoom. We will Zoom. Good eye, Thomas. Nice to see you. Yeah. So I always like to start the talk with a meditation, because I think it's good for your souls to help elevate you to the next level of enlightenment. I sit here and I emanate energy from my body, and I transmit it through the computer, through the phone lines and into your room, and we all go into the next dimension. As everybody's vibration vibrates together and gets higher, we all get higher and higher and higher and higher. So that's why we meditate here. just in case you thought it was because we liked sitting in silence, that's not the case. We meditate to go to the next dimensions. This is the immortal dimension. It's quite low frequency if you haven't realized. The dimension that we're aiming for is the unicorn dimension. Sorry, my footstool is right over there. Can't get it. Okay, back you go. I'm messing everything up. Yeah. So we're heading for the unicorn dimension. This is the dimension of rainbows and horns, obviously, because it's the unicorn dimension. And yeah, that's all we're going to do. I shall now inform you of different ways in which you can get to the unicorn dimension. The first way is by sticking one finger to the left nostril. One finger into the left nostril. I won't do it so you don't see it, because it's not so nice watching someone stick it up their nostril. You never know what will come out. So everyone can do this in their privacy of their own space, is that you stick one finger up the left nostril and then you blow 10 times. Then you remove the finger and you pop it in the mouth. And inwards you suck 10 times. And what you want to do is you want to try and get your glands into this. So if you put the tongue on the top of the roof of your mouth, up there like that, it will make this kind of sound when you breathe in. And this is activating the muscles in the gland, which will activate I've forgotten the name of that thing again. Yeah, it will activate the something nerve, and by that it will then be rejuvenating for your body. So up your nose, up the left nostril 10 times, then in the mouth, so then you go out, 10 times. So that is the recommended meditation for everybody. We shall begin. Let me just get my gong, my gigantic gong, and I will dong it. Oops. 1 second. I have to put the sound into black hole. Voila. Hello. Okay, we begin the talk. I just have to look to see what the title is. The title today is Who is the Creator of this World? I went for it with the title tonight, eh? Who is the creator of this world? I don't know. I don't know who the creator of this world is. So, just before I begin the talk, last week, I don't know if any of you noticed, but I forgot to plug my audio in again. It just wasn't plugged in properly. And so there was this echoing sound and you could hear the swirling of the fans. So please, if you notice that my audio is a little bit off, I normally have very good audio, please get in contact with me because I'm live. I can't tell when these things happen. Yeah, and it's so nice to have good audio. I think that's much better than anything else, the audio, than the camera. Yeah, the streaming speed. So yes. Okay, but who is the creator of the world? So eventually with this subject, it comes down to nothing or silence. Like what can there be spoken of? What can be spoken of? Like it none of this makes sense, and yet it's so at home in not making sense. So your essence is at home, but yet nothing makes sense. When you're seeking to understand this subject and to have these shifts, there's often this sense that understanding will bring me something. And understanding will settle the person down and it will clear the cobwebs and tidy the cage of the person or the outfit of the person. Maybe cage is the wrong word, like more like the clean the messiness of the person up. And you believe that you're going to come to some sort of conclusion at some point, that you'll come to some sort of understanding, that you'll hear this enough times and you will suddenly get it. And there might be the projection onto me that I have got it and I know all these things. But that's actually not what happens. It's actually the opposite. You lose more and more what you thought you knew. And in losing what you knew or what you thought you knew, there becomes less and less questions. So the question, who is the creator of the world, or who is the creator, it feels like a relevant question to you, but it's actually seeking energy. Like you're seeking to understand something for what, and every body-mind mechanism will have a different reason as to why it's seeking that. Some will be because it's out of fear, some will be out of entertainment, some will be out of excitement, some will be out of some power trip, and some will be to get rid of their ego, which might feel like the most genuine seeking energy, but it's still a seeking energy to get somewhere. So there is a person that exists in time and space, and they are going to understand something in time and space. So there is imaginary you that is going to get somewhere. And in that getting somewhere, you are going to achieve something and have something for you. And that's what it feels like, but it might not be conceptual like I'm explaining it. It's more a feeling in the body, like the body wants to know. There is this urge in the body to know. And while that's there, act it out. There's nothing wrong with acting out the seeking energies. It's not encouraging the seeking energies to act them out. In some ways, acting them out diffuses it. Like I had a friend that had an awakening, and it was in the moment that she got everything that she wanted, that she had this awakening and everything disappeared. She was just like, I got everything. I'm so contented. It was really sweet. And then that shift happened. Mm. Mm. So everything on the human level is created by genetics and social conditioning. And genetics, you could say, is past lives. And so everything that you think or feel in this life is down to those two dynamics. And most of the time you take them to be truth. So even your seeking for this subject is the conditions of that body, which is genetics and social conditioning. So it's formed out of that. So a series of events apparently in time have led you to this place now where you're seeking non-duality. So this is the time-bound story. There's also another explanation, which is direct contradiction, which is just spontaneously arising out of this, which is also true. But we're just going with this other line. So, but the problem with the appearance of these social conditions and these genetic responses to habits and conditions. So with habits and conditions that appear, they come with stories that are very personal, like I am on this seeking path because I've always felt like there was something not quite right, and now I realized it's blah, 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 blah. Whatever story you tell yourself about this isn't true. Whether it's the hero story, like I finally made it, my whole life I was seeking something and now I found it in non-duality, or whether it's the victim story of like nothing's ever fitted, and now non-duality doesn't fit, I'll never make it. None of these stories fit the truth of what's happening. They're simply perspectives appearing. There's nothing wrong with those perspectives. It's not saying that you don't have to have them, but what happens is there is an identification with them and a belief that there is somebody existing inside this body having an adventure through space and time. There appears to be, but that's not actually who you are. So in this dream world, or in this world, there's always an appearance of a person coming and going, that's needed in order for functioning, but it's not actually truth. It's not telling you the truth of what's happening. And it's not speaking about who you truly are. It's simply speaking about the character, the habits and the conditions of the character which are translated into stories. Who you truly are is beyond form, beyond words, beyond understanding, beyond sounds, beyond smells, beyond titles that you give yourself or stories that you give yourself, or anything that goes into time and space. Who you are is what's always been there. And what's always been there is not something we can simply wrap up into words and say, it's God, or it's consciousness. I use the word consciousness just because it's easiest. And that's what we're used to using in non-duality. But it's not actually consciousness. It's unknowable, it's mystery. It cannot be named in words. And who you truly are is the creator of all things. And it's not happening to an entity. It's not happening in there to an entity. It's happening in the experience. So that wall is being created by no thing right now. The computer is, I am, the sounds are, the plant is, and this no thing is beyond description. We could call it consciousness or perception, but the perception isn't separate from what's happening. And maybe it's not quite right, perception. Maybe it's nailing it down. So if we call it perception or watching, it's not separate from the experience. You could say experiencing is creating now, and the experiencing is not a thing and all things. So if you take me, like looking at me right now, like, do I come from time? Do I come from the past? Or do I come from right now? In your experience. And if I come from right now, do I come from a place? Is there a place that you can hold on to? Or do I come from no thing? Not a thing, baby. So juicy. The same with everything else. If you look around the room isn't appearing from a place that you can find. You can't find the origin and get a microscope and be like, there is the place, the source, there's God, it's coming from there, I found it there. Because if you did do that, then it would be something in this world. So everything's appearing from no place that you can't find, but yet it's here, yet it is, yet it's being perceived. And the perception isn't away from anything. We think that perception is in the head and that it's coming from here, but actually the perception isn't separate from anything. It's not separate from anything. Isn't that fantastic? Can you hear the beauty and the divinity in that? The perception isn't away from anything. It's not separate from me, from the sounds, from the seat, from the room, from the lights, from the dog, from anything. So the creator of everything is what's happening. And this requires the letting go of everything that you're attached to, every thought that you're attached to, the thought of you, the energy of you, the stories, the ideas, the needs, the wants. It's just coming back to right now. Right now, right here, right now. Right here, right now. This is the creator. So And that's where non-separation is. So the idea is, in most humans on this planet, is there is an entity, a separate entity in here. Whereas that's not true. There is no separate entity in here. There is thoughts and energies and ideas arising, giving the appearance of somebody that chooses and does things. But that is not who you are. That is something playing. That is a dance, an appearance that's coming and going. It isn't solid. It's always changing and evolving. And there's something else that's always here. What is always here? What never leaves? And that is this. This is being perceived. And then also this. So everything. This experience of everything. This. This is timeless and this is spaceless. Time and space is a human invention, and it comes with imagination. This is it, baby. This is it. This is all that's ever wanted. So all these dreams of what you think you want or need are simply dreams. They're nice. They're pleasing to the body gets pleasure. But this is all that's wanted. There's nothing else that's wanted. Whatever you believe it is that you want is a belief. Come from apparently many things in the past and specific to that body-mind mechanism. But it's not true. It really isn't. And this is the suffering I feel of humanity. The belief that my happiness, my happiness is found in time. Is the true contentment, what you're truly looking for, is found in the timeless, right here, in this, as this. Humans are so complicated. All types of wars are based on me and the other. Me and the other, and all this complicated thinking that comes with it. That the other is to blame, the other is responsible. I'm to blame, I'm responsible. We could have done it differently. We should be living like this. I should have a life experience like this right now. I'm 40 years old, and what have I done with my life, or where am I going? All these types of stories, or there's nothing in this life that will satisfy me. My partner's not enough, my children aren't enough, my dog's not enough, or I need better than this. All these stories, and none of it's true. It really isn't. It really isn't. All that's really needed is what you are, which is this, this, this. And this is free to be anything, and this is who you are. You are the light, you are my words, you are my body, you are this chair, you are this beautiful plant, you are the beautiful backdrop, you are your room, you are the sounds, the smells. This baby, this. What love? And that is unconditioned love. It's not based on a condition. I need life to look like this. I need you to look like this. It's absolute unconditioned love. Nothing more could be added to this. It's love, 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 love. It is love. And that's not meaning to negate from cleaning up the person, making the person nicer and more healthy. I'm not against psychology or therapies. It's not that non-duality is in the opposition from it. It's just that they're different subjects. Often, in order to hear non-duality, there has to be a settling of the person. So they often coincide. But it's not that you're going to do all these therapies, all these practices, and you're going to arrive at some place, because who would arrive at what place? It's just that when the person isn't suffering so much, then there can be this hearing of what's beyond the person. When there's deep contraction and deep suffering, it's often impossible to hear. But that saying that you can have awakenings in deep suffering. Okay, I take a question from Conrad. So remember, if you want to call in, just put call me, and calls take preferences. So in the chat, Skype chat, my Skype address is LisaCairns12. You can find the info in the box below. Conrad. I feel modern non-duality is ignorant of its origins in Advaita Vedanta. Neo-Advaita assumes we can realize our freedom without preparation or qualification, which, through my experience and knowing others' experience, to be able to pass the qualifications is vital, as after awakening I felt intense existential dread as my life, Atma, Jiva, Atman, or identity was unprepared psychologically for the vastness of my true nature. The ego gets scared. This is why I feel that qualification needs to be brought back and taken very seriously, so that the individual is prepared and ready to surrender false identification without going into fear about it. What are your thoughts on this? It's so funny, the question, like, what are your thoughts on about it? Whose thoughts? They appear. I think I feel two opposing ideas, or two opposing ideas appear. So, in one way, I feel like the computer's running out of battery. In one way, I feel like it's perfect how it happens, and they can be listening to Naya Vita and a shift, and then there can be many, many years of practice in all these traditions and no shift. And I feel like once that shift happens, then you do something called stream entry, which is getting into the stream, and it takes you to the ocean. So one way I feel like it's so perfect, like whatever way it happens. So yes. And then there's another part that comes up and says that a lot of people are really unprepared for non-duality. That sounds like such a total contradiction. So, and then it's like, who is there to worry about? So it's like these two opposing ideas. Isn't it so amazing? Like, who is there to worry about? Like, it's perfect. It's this creation. It's a happening. And I do know both sides. You know, I've watched people in traditions and they're very lost in the tradition. And they get absorbed in trying to fix the person and fixated on practices. But I also think that people are unprepared for non-duality. And I feel like often people need a lot of help and work to detach from their thought structures. Like for me, having Roger, my teacher who I lived with for 3 years, I just feel on the human level he really like pushed me beyond what I thought I knew. And without that, I most probably would have stayed in the comfort of Lisa. But it was a really painful experience being pushed beyond what I thought I knew. Like very challenging. Like my particular body form was very attached to a lot of the belief systems and thoughts. And even though I might have a story that I wasn't, like energetically, there was like something in my DNA that was very attached to the thoughts. And then having that reminder externally, like really helped settle the person. But at the same time, then there's this other idea, which is like, who? This is free right here, right now. So can you hold that, Conrad? That I'm saying yes and no to your answer. Or I could answer, I don't know. I don't know what's right. I could answer all three of those answers. And they all feel good. So I could answer that, yeah, there seems to need to be a preparation of the person. I didn't do it through traditional Vaita Vedanta, but there was preparation with a teacher prior to this shift. There was work with a teacher very closely and intimately. And but at the same time, like this hypnosis of a conard that needs to prepare to get somewhere. Where are you going to get? Who is this you that's going to get? It's a dream. This is free right now. Right now. And then also, there's another answer. So actually I said it was 2, but it's actually 3-way. The other answer is, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what's good or bad or right or wrong. I don't know the direction in the future. I just don't know. It's a happening. It's a happening. I tried to say this to a friend the other day with politics. They were saying all these things about, you've got to pay more taxes and all this. And I was just like, God. They got so offended. Hey, Nick. Oh. Are these herbies? They could be herbies. They could be pineapples. Good evening, Beth. God evening, Beth. Such a beautiful description of what is. Oh, nice, Thomas. Giacomo. Hi, hello, dear. There is a wishing to join a live satsang one day. I wonder where life might take this body. Why is there no question arising in my mind? It's all down to truthful being. Rav Giacomo. Giacomo. I hope I got it wrong. Giacomo. Wrong. I hope I got it right. Is that my subconscious? Is that my dyslexia speaking? There is a strong buzzing in the audio background sometimes. Oh. Thank you for telling me, Giacomo. Hello? Thanks for telling me that. Yeah, is it still there? If people are still hearing it, let me know. I don't know how to stop that. I think I've got everything plugged in properly here. Yeah, let me know in YouTube chats, people, if it's bad for you or not so good. Yeah, it could sometimes be your internet and your connection. Someone says they're not hearing it. But thank you for saying, because this is a problem that I have because I can't hear it. Yeah, Hans says, call me. Yeah, Hans, yeah. Yeah, Hans, yeah. I'm just going to go for a toilet break. Didn't make it very long tonight. I needed a toilet break. Me and my partner looking for houses at the moment to buy. And every time we go and visit them, normally as soon as we get there or halfway round looking around the house, I always ask if I can use their toilet. I don't know if other women can relate to this. If you've looked for a house before, like normally drive a long way there and then you get there and I always need the toilet. Excuse me. Sorry. I'm back. Okay, hands. Yes. We go to hands.
Hi, Lisa.
Hey, Hans.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. How are you? Wie geht es dir?
I'm not Dutch, by the
Oh
way.
yeah,
I'm
you're
Dutch.
Dutch, yes.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's okay. I'm good. Uh, I've one question. I've been wondering about aversion. Like that's something that's really been a topic in my recent practice,
Yeah.
and it, I like to do a lot of surrender practices and watch uncompromising non-duality videos, and it really calms me down. I don't know, I just like to do it. And what I noticed is that so when like an aversion is coming up, I like to relax it, the aversion. Like I'm trying to maintain some sort of flow. But at the same time, I'm wondering, like I've always done that, but since very recently, there's like, I'm wondering if there's maybe, how do I say that? If I can make more of an effort to explore the aversions themselves. So, for example, I've like shame on the left side of my head, and when it's coming up, it's kind of like it's get blocked really fast and by itself, and I always try to let it happen as smooth as possible, if that makes sense. So not interfering by letting it happen. But I wonder, yeah, and I can kind of stay in this relaxed place. But I already kind of asked this question. I think I'm repeating myself now. But I wonder, yeah, should I explore the aversions more, like breathe into them and yeah, like try to dissolve them, or yeah.
So I'm going to give you two answers. I'm going
Okay.
to give you, which might seem opposing.
Yeah, okay.
I'll start off with the non-dual answer.
Yeah.
So from the perspective of non-duality, like who needs or who would explore it right here, right now?
Yeah.
So is there shame appearing?
Where or is?
Is and now shame appearing? Like, do you have tension?
No, but I can. I mean, it's always kind of there. It's kind of like feels like an energetic block, I would
Yeah,
say. But
yeah,
when it gets triggered, it gets like more on the foreground. But I
yeah.
can feel the block a little bit there, yeah.
Mm. So there is this experiencing, this which isn't separate from anything. So the experiencing is in my voice now. It's in the computer. It's in the room. It's in all things. And in that experiencing, so that's who you are. That's what you are. And that is free, always free, no matter what. The experiencing, which isn't separate, so it's not an experiencing of something, it's not an experiencer experiencing something. That's one and the same thing. The experiencing and the experienced are the same, so the subject and the object are the same. So in that, it's always free. There's never someone that suffered anything. It's infinite, but even beyond infinite. Like infinite is still an imagination. It's no thing and all things. And this is maybe why you like watching uncompromising non-duality videos, because it's reminding you of that freedom in everything, in this, of what you truly are. And what happens during the day is that it seemingly appears that that experiencing becomes narrow and becomes contained inside a person. So it's like the person is conscious. And then the person is always looking for what it should or should not do to get home.
Yeah.
It doesn't know that it's doing that, but it's like, how do I get home?
Oh, I know that I'm doing it. It's really obvious. It's so annoying. Oh, I can't think that, or oh, I shouldn't think that, or
Yeah,
that there's a reaction on that, and oh my God,
yeah,
it's so bad.
yeah. It's always up to that game.
Yeah.
How do I get home? And it's like but it's like in the DNA, it seems, of all humans, it gets switched on at maybe 2 or 3 years old. How do I get home?
Yeah.
And what you're looking for is this deep rest of everything.
Yeah.
Because who you are is deep, deep rest. It doesn't want anything. It's not surrendering or not surrendering. It's not holding this or not holding this. It's simply here. And you could call that unconditioned love. And inside of that, there is a body that arises. And the body, because it's had years and years of training that it is a doer, it has these thoughts and feelings of doership. So one of the thoughts and feelings of doership is shame. And it's not necessarily that the feeling of shame is suffering, but the attachment to it is. And that's hard to, the attachment, and then, like you say, the wanting to get rid of it. Because if you've got these bodies that have had many years of training of being shamed or something by parents, then it's natural that the body will automatically respond with that. But it's when it's taken to be you rather than simply an energy that is appearing and disappearing.
Yeah.
That is coming up and disappearing. And the person...
It feels,
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, carry on.
yeah, it feels when a shame comes up and it automatically gets blocked. If there's an aversion, I don't know. It feels like a block on an aversion, and so it comes up and almost gets like instantly pushed back by this feeling, and it feels like I should do something about that for to heal or to get enlightened or
yeah. So that's the thinking that comes up, and then there might be the zooming into this idea, I should do something about this. There's nothing wrong with the thought of that. That's a thought that comes and goes, but then there's like a narrowing in and a belief that that is the experiencer, like you are responsible for your life and that you are experiencing. Not all the time, but it kind of does this, and this is then the compression, the separation that's felt, and that's where the discomfort actually is. It's not in the feeling, so it's not actually in the initial response of shame. It's in the person that condenses itself. And this isn't something that you can undo, that separation. It's something that will get undone. Like, you can try as much as you like to undo it, but you are it.
Yeah. That's the annoying part as well.
It's annoying, but it's also like when this is really recognized, like your true nature is so close to yourself.
Yeah.
Like it's like who you are is right here. It's always been here in all things.
It's
And then I can come to the other answer, and there can be working on shame. Like, shame is a very triggering emotion. You have to be a bit careful with it because it can really trigger you into trauma, shame. And there's many different practices that you can do to work on it. There is a book on my website about shame, which you could look into. And there's like there's lots of different practices to deal with it. And loosening it can come from understanding it in the timeline, in the story, where it originated, what triggers it. And it's a very uncomfortable feeling, often. It's like you are bad, you are shameful. It's often used a lot in society and politics in order to control people. And in family structures. It's a great way to control people. So it's also you could say it is like a collective thing that we do to each other. Like, I mean, if you look at the media is so much about shaming people. But healing it and cleaning that up will most likely reduce the seeking in that area, so it will make you a more happy and balanced person. But that's not actually what you really want. What you really want is this moment. Like, so, and when you feel like the person, and when you feel like it's coming, there's nothing wrong with seeking to make that better. In a way, it reduces the seeking and will make you more happy and more balanced and getting on with people, a better life. And that's great news, and that's something beautiful to do. But what you really want is this moment, which is timeless.
I guess so. So I guess what I like to do is like I like to, when that mechanism comes up, like the shame comes up and the blocking comes up, I like to let that happen. And that feels really good. And that's been like a big part of my practice. And that's what I'm doing with all my life actually. And that's like feels really good. But now I have this it also feels really natural, like really like it feels like this is a good way for a good thing to do for my energy body. And at the same time, um, um, yeah, I wonder if I, like you said, to work on shame. And for me, I don't know if there are two things. I'm just trying to clarify it for myself. So, um, is working on shame different than working on on the blocking of shame? Because I have this like belief that if the shame can like flow through, it will get out of my system.
I would assume that a lot of it is about the blocking of shame.
Yeah.
And that will be connected to the apparent timeline and story of you.
Yeah.
But just in the conversation, interaction that we're having, just a reminder that the you that feels like it's your job to free yourself isn't a truth.
Yeah.
So what the person gets addicted with and loves is knowing what it should do.
Yeah. That's actually
I'm
my
just
whole
gonna put me on red. Someone else is calling. Yeah. Yeah. What did you say? Sorry.
I just want to like my whole 5 years of like intense mental health problems and like seeking non-duality has been a lot of about like looking for someone, of trying to find someone who can actually tell me what to do.
Yeah, this is what humans are addicted to, because we're so scared of choice, and because we live in these societies where for many centuries we've had these leaders.
Yeah.
We haven't had much choice, and then the last 100 years we're getting more and more choice. It kind of makes us more and more insane having all this choice, because the belief is that if you choose correctly, you will be free. And it's not, I'm not saying in any way don't work on the mental health and don't work on the therapy and don't work on the person. I think that's beautiful. And I think that will give you a richer life if you do it, because your external is going to be based on the internal. So the way in which the person thinks and feels, it will then manifest that in the external. So if you've got a lot of shame, then you might hide away and become very reclusive, for example. That's just one thing. So working on and not like live up to your full potential. So working on these things is great on the human level. But from the non-duality perspective, like there's something right now which is free. Like, what is it right now that's free? And the person comes up and wants to know the way and wants to know how to do it, and should I do this or should I do that? And they want someone to guide them, and I don't know the way for anybody.
No.
Like I mean, if I was gonna if I was gonna say something, I would say, pick a therapy, keep practicing it. Like pick a particular therapy path, and then just keep practicing that. One that's quite successful and popular. And then at the same time listening to non-duality, and then also being holistic. Eating well, looking after the body, all these types of things. But I don't know the way for any individual. I don't know what will lead to what. But what I do know is that what's truly looked for is this moment. Is what you are right here, right now. This is the freedom. But this won't fix your life. That's what often we like to believe. This won't fix your life, but this is what you look for. You're looking for.
Non-duality won't fix your life, and your life won't give you what you see, what you're looking for.
Yeah, I said it might be contradictory.
They fill each other up in a bit, like if you think, yeah. Okay. I'm actually also, even though like I was looking all those years, because my problems were so intense and I felt like there had to be somebody who could help me. And actually, by not finding anyone, like now I love that people say like you, or that they don't really give me like, oh, you should this or this or this. And I really like that. And I also like it to not, to like that there is, that my body it likes that there is not like a definitive answer. And that,
And also finding its own way, like on the human character level, it's most probably really beautiful to begin to have confidence in finding your own way rather than letting somebody dictate that way to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, thanks Hans for calling.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, nice.
All right. Have a nice stream.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, goodbye.
Bye. That almost sounded like he said, have a nice dream. But I think it was stream. Okay, David S., call me. Yes. It's so funny, right? When I did the Zoom, everybody that asked a question was a woman. And then when I do the YouTube talks, it's often men that call in. Not that I'm complaining, but it's just interesting, isn't it? Like when I do these public ones, but when I did the Zoom and it was private and closed, it was often the women that were asking questions.
Hey, Lisa.
Hey, David. It is David, isn't it? Yes.
How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
Nice. And how can I help you or not help you this evening?
Now,
Or morning. It'll be your morning.
It is, I'm out of New Jersey, USA.
After
So it's about
afternoon then.
1:30 here. Yes. So if you notice on I can't pull it up right now, not seeing it, but on the Skype, I copied and pasted a paragraph. Are you able to see it?
I don't know if I can. Hang on. They've changed it. Chat, there you go. Yes, I can see it. Where, the paragraph. So shall I read this paragraph of what you've read out?
Please, thank you.
What is the basis for preparing a horoscope? Is it the time of birth? Is it really the birth of the child, or that of time? The activities happen as per time, and we think ourselves to be the doer. Such thinking is our tendency, which is called as mind. The unborn has not taken any birth. With the Guru's grace, the false ideas of your birth will go. No one has any experience of birth, and the body identity is also equally false. From teachings of Nisargadatta, Sri Nisargadatta. Nice.
So
beautiful.
So my question, thank you. So my question was about the part where it says no one has any experience of birth. And I've seen it written quite a few times, and I was always curious on that question, because it seems that from the memory, the person's memory point, there's no memory yet established at that age. So how is it possible from the first place to experience one's own birth? And so I always find that kind of an impossible task.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
tried myself to go back there from memory, but it's just not possible. So it's almost like it's trying to show proof that, you know, I, the true I was never born. But how can I really experience any proof of it where there was no memory at that point in time?
yeah. So to me, like when he says this, and I don't know what he means by that, but when he says this, the way I interpret it is with the guru's grace. So I presume I'm the guru in the grace. That's a joke. The false idea of your birth will go. No one has any experience of birth, and the body identity is also equally false. So to me, he does. I don't think he means like the coming out of the womb. I think he means the birth as in this illusion that there is actually somebody inside this body. So I think, or I interpret it, as meaning the birth of the identity, the one that thinks it was born, the one that believes it was born, whereas there's nobody that was born and there's nobody that dies.
So basically, it's basically an illusion. It's a mind illusion. It's mind created, rather than an actual fact.
Yeah, and it's not so much about memory of your birth, of physical birth. Some people do have memory of the birth, but it's more like this birth of you. There isn't a you inside the body. Like when you were 2 years old, you weren't David.
Right, so it's the egoic birth. Yeah.
Yeah, the egoic, but that's how I interpret it. You've never been that David. And when the body dies, it's not David. There's not a David that dies. It just seems like there's a David that dies because we tell stories of that. There is a David that was alive, and then there's a David that dies. But who is that?
Yes, yes.
It's a beautiful quote, though. Really beautiful.
Yeah. The other question that I had was about desires, attachment, and identification.
Mm.
And is it really possible to to totally detach or to totally disidentify or to not have desires? I don't think that it's really possible as a human being. I think there is possible to work on it, and there's some improvements, gradual improvements, but so my understanding is that it's really all in the moment. It's 1 minute at a time, 1 second at a time, meaning the only way that I can detach from that is to be present. So it's not about the future, it's about just now. And that's the only way that it makes sense to me. Yeah.
The way that I feel it here is that the body is an illusion, but we have the appearance of this body, and this body has desires, and it's natural to have desires, otherwise the body wouldn't move. So there is a desire to go to the toilet, there is a desire to have dinner, there is a desire to walk outside, there is a desire to work, there is a desire to spend money, to buy birthday gifts, whatever it is, the body has a desire to do things. But ultimately, the body is an illusion. So in this moment, there isn't any desires. Like right now, there isn't any desire. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So yeah, is it effective to practice witnessing?
Effective to get where? Like the destination meaning that.
Destination meaning to realize the self.
A lot of people say it is effective. I don't know. In the end, like what I would say is that for sure it settles down the person. So there is a reduction and seeking and settling down the person. But then I would say, I don't know if that collapses the person or not. But then I would also say, who is this person that will be collapsed? So who is it that wants to be collapsed and wants to disappear? And just noticing that there is this freedom right here, right now. And that is a story that's arising of you witnessing and the collapsing of you. So basically I'm answering yes and no.
I think energetically, it's the only way that I can experience it. And experience is just a word, but because I cannot understand it. I can only, it's kind of like a sense of very, peaceful and calm. And
so if it's resonating with you, that's perfect. Like if that's how you feel, then that's perfect. Like it's like my advice, if any, is to move towards that which feels expansive. So that would be my advice. But then also knowing that there's nobody that moves to anything. There is simply this moment, which is free. It's here right now.
I really also enjoyed the previous caller mentioning about, allowing and acceptance, because, during the day with the stresses of, the daily activities, there is a lot of pain because of for myself, speaking for myself, the immense identification and the holding on for dear life, and the resistance is very painful. So I really appreciate the reminder of just allowing even the resistance to
totally
to exist and to come and go.
Beautiful. Yeah. Nice.
Well, thanks so much.
Yeah, pleasure, David. Lovely to speak to you again.
Likewise.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, have a great day.
Yeah, you too. Bye. Hello?
Hello?
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you doing?
Fine. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you great. What's your name? Is it Birch?
Yeah, like the tree.
Nice.
Yeah.
I've always fancied that I would like to be called after a flower, like Lily. My middle name is Rose, but a tree is magnificent to be called after as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it was my parents that did that. Yeah.
Yeah, you lucked out with the name.
I guess.
Nice. So how can I help you today or not help you?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I'm just curious in your, I guess you'd say since you're spiritual, since you got into that and until now, how has your relationship with the mind changed? Or has it?
When you say mind, you mean like thinking?
Aspect of it.
Do you mean thinking?
Yeah. So
predominantly thinking.
So sometimes, people will get caught up in thoughts, and even their whole identity is based on their thoughts and whatnot. And then some other people can kind of just see it as thought arising and know that the mind is just it has its activities, and they're at peace with that. And I'm wondering, from your point of view,
Yeah.
If you will.
Yeah, sure. I have two answers,
Yeah.
which is the case most of the time. So if I go into the story of me and I remember back, firstly, I would just say that memory is a very strange thing. So I don't know if memory was ever created to be that accurate. So I can't be sure of what it was like when I got into this subject when I was 20. I was kind of into this subject before, but I directly got into Buddhism when I was 20. So really, like before, it had been through talking with people and thinking and different books, and philosophies. But spirituality, the first thing was Buddhism when I was 20. And and I'd say there's been a radical shift. Like, when I first got into this subject, I didn't even realize that I was thinking. I was so identified with thoughts that I thought my thoughts were reality. So if I saw something and thought they're angry or they're bad, I didn't even realize that was a thought that Lisa was having. I just thought that was true. I didn't notice. So like a huge difference. So now there's kind of this sense continuously of that which is thoughtless, this timelessness, like this recognition that what we truly are is timeless. So from going from 20 years ago where I didn't even really realize I just thought it was the way things were, and then realizing it was thinking, and then detaching from the thinking, and realizing that the thinking and the feeling are really connected. Like, so all of these different things. And then now there is thoughts and feelings that appear, but there is this still timelessness in which they're appearing in. So they're no longer the way in which life is. There's something that comes and goes. And sometimes there's an intense thought or emotion, and there is a going down a path of not belief, but just getting triggered or getting activated, and the thought taking up lots of room. But it's
there seems to be over here at least a big difference between getting kind of caught up in a thought and just having a thought. I don't know if that's what you're referring to, where sometimes it will take you down I know I kind of interrupted you there, but
what I was referring to is basically if I get triggered by something and then there is an emotional reaction, but I don't know if I ever believe in it anymore. It's kind of like there is a trigger, so something happens normally with another human. There is a disagreement maybe, and then there maybe is a crying or a big emotional reaction. But I don't know if that's ever taken to be truth. It just can sometimes have strong energy in it, like a big emotion or a discomfort. But there's another part that is just very present as well. It's very still and very present. But then there's this other energy that can come up. So a big emotional reaction, I suppose. but I don't know if it's really ever taken to be a reality anymore. There could be old seeking energy in it, like a seeking to try to get the other person to do something, or get them to comfort me, or I don't know, whatever it is, the seeking energy. That's like old seeking patterns of the body, but I don't know if it's ever really believed to have any reality. Like the only reality is the timeless.
Yeah, so it's kind of just a product of your, the 3 pounds in your head, right? That is computing and whatnot and trying to protect you, and
Yeah.
you don't necessarily
So yeah, it's
get
like
as
these
caught up or
these instruments are trained to behave in certain ways, genetically or socially. So there is these responses that come up.
Yeah.
And then there is pain that comes with that, like physical. Like my emotions are very physical now. So, and the thoughts feel very physical. So actually, when you said that, like the brain, like I sometimes question, and actually I think even scientists question this as well, as to whether thinking actually happens in the brain, because it feels very emotional, like when very emotional and physical. So when I have a disagreement, that's when I think I have the most emotional reaction, is a disagreement with someone, I think, with another human. I can't think of other things that really create much, but yeah, so disagreement with a human is it feels more so than thinking. So I'm not really thinking you're an ass or you're doing something wrong. It's more like there is an emotion, say, in the heart, and then the sort of speaking comes out of that emotion in the heart. So it's not really a narrative about them so much. There can be a narrative of how best to navigate it, maybe going on. But it's more like there is this emotion in the heart of feeling unseen or unloved or not heard. And it feels very physical. And then I'm not sure really what happens, because I think also we're very physical beings. So then I think you get affected by the other person's emotions. So then it kind of becomes this like one energy of both of you together when you get into these heated dynamics.
Yeah, so do you think there's a difference between thought that is, for lack of a better term, identified with as a person versus, say, I don't know, just something really mundane, like
I think yeah,
or different kind of, I don't know, I mean, it's all thought, but there seems to be like a more, like you were saying,
identified stuff,
body sensation,
yeah,
when it's when you feel threatened or
I think when you're really identified with that person, so when there isn't the connection to who you truly are or that stillness, then I think there is a lot of seeking energy that arises. So you have that feeling of feeling threatened or feeling vulnerable or unheard. And then there is a lot of seeking energy that arises that tries to avoid that. So a lot of narrative and story about what a terrible person the other person is, or they shouldn't do this, or they should do that, or you need to do this, or life is so unfair, everything bad happens. There's big narratives that arise in order to try to avoid like the rawness of feeling these more vulnerable emotions or defenses, like trying to be better than the other person, trying to be more enlightened than the other person, trying to put the other person down or get power. You know, there can be all these types of seeking energies, which I think are more based around identification. But it kind of becomes a fine line, like it's like they become thinner and thinner, like it becomes a fine line. You begin to forget about these things. Like, so now in myself personally, I just don't separate it. So what I say is like old seeking energies might arise, but I don't really think like, is this identified or is this not identified? There's just energies arising, and then they're
Would
looked
you
at if
say
they
you're
need to.
more aware of it? Like you're more aware, oh, that's just a seeking energy, you know,
Yeah,
it's just happened.
yeah.
Yeah. As
I
opposed to before, like you said, when you
No, I don't think that I would
believed
label it.
everything.
It's a seeking energy. Actually, I don't think I would. I say that to people to try to
Yeah.
show them or tell them where I am or not, or what's happening here. But I think actually in the moment, I don't describe it to myself in any way as this is a seeking energy, or is this is identified or not identified, or this is free or not free. I think I'm just very much with the experience of what's happening. So if there is a big sadness arising, there's an intimacy with that sadness, and a focusing on that sadness, and then there might be some narrative around the sadness, or there might be the mind activity might be trying to go into that sadness to explore it to an extent. But I don't think there's any real, I don't really think of it in terms of, is it identified or isn't it identified, or is this personal seeking or not personal seeking? It's just something that's arising. Like, I don't think I'm trying to work out where I am. I don't care. I care, the only way I care, and you could maybe call this identification or not, is not to be dishonest to people that listen to me. That's the only thing. So it's like trying to be as honest about the process that happens here. But to me, I really don't care. I do not care at all about that.
What is it that you don't care about? Can you?
That I don't care about where Lisa is or not, about seeking or not seeking, or identified or not identified. I just don't even think about those things. So the only thing that I do care about is expressing that to people, which I think I do all the time. In fact, maybe do it too much.
So it's not a matter of, you know, for you, am I trying to say, separating yourself from it or anything?
Yeah.
You're feeling it fully, but you just don't take it as necessarily real or part of what you really core, you know, the core of you. It's more of an arising
It's
that
a
you know will
happening,
pass.
yeah. And it's a happening just like when the joy and the excitement is happening.
But you fully dive into it, though.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
if
maybe not consciously, but you allow it to.
Yeah, allow it. And then there might be some thinking about it and reflecting on it if that needs to be, you know, if you're in a argument with someone or a disagreement with someone, there might need to be reflection about your behavior or their behavior. So there's reflection.
Okay.
And if it's strong and persists, there might be reflection and a diving into it. Like, there's a process that I do with difficult emotions of asking what it wants or doesn't want and feeling it. And
So there's definitely not like a suppression of thought or anything like that going on. Just
if I was, I wouldn't know.
Oh. No, I mean, like, you know how some people will say, you know, you got to keep those thoughts, stop thinking like that, you know. I'm trying to think about stuff less, or you know, you don't try to.
No, I
stop
don't
your
try to
mind.
do that. But if there's like a trauma that arises, then I might move my mind very present. Not all the time, it depends. So if there is like because my theory is that sometimes traumas are too strong, and it's good to explore traumas, but it's not good to always go too much into them. So say if I'm out and I'm in the middle of nowhere, like when I'm in France, there's often hunters when I go out walking with the dogs, and sometimes they can really give you a fright because they can be, you know, like right in the bush next to you, or they can run out chasing, the dogs are chasing the boars. There's lots of hunters in the south of France. And and it can send the body into, like a bit of fright. It's not actually very strong for me. I'm just giving this as an example, but
Yeah.
there's a good chance, like after that, I might just put the attention very much into the world rather than too much into the body. Like I have this different ways of working with the body in different states, because if the trauma is, sometimes when the trauma is quite a fight, flight, a please, fight, fight, a please, or freeze, if it's one of those four, sometimes it's best not to give it too much attention, so then there's just a moving out of it. It's best to give that attention more when you're in a very safe, quiet space, and doing it gently and bringing yourself in and out of it. Sometimes when it's quite strong, so if you're in a big triggering situation, if you go too into it, you can get stuck in it.
Yeah.
Like the body goes into, I don't know, like it can get, not for me very often, but you can trigger it into like where the body just takes over and it goes into this fright. I've seen it happen to people when working with people, and it's better to gently ease into it. Yeah.
I see. And you do, with your teaching and everything, with your non-dual experience and all that, you probably tend to take them less personally, I'm guessing.
It's not really an activity, because who would take them less personally? Like, so it's just something that naturally occurs, and I presume that is because of all these experiences happened, but it's not really like I'm actively trying to take things less personally. It's just an occurrence that happened.
Right, but I mean with the realization,
Yeah,
that the person is kind of a mental construct,
yeah,
or I don't know if I'm wording this
yeah,
quite right, but maybe it helps to not take the story so
yeah,
serious. Not that it's an activity, but maybe that's helped to condition
yeah,
the way you deal with things or something like that.
yeah, something like that. I'm not sure. Yeah, but yeah, no, I know what you mean, but yeah.
I see. Okay. Well, thank you very much for that.
It's a pleasure, Bert.
Nice talking to you. I've
Yeah.
watched you a lot on the YouTube, and I've today I was seeing that it was a live stream, and then I realized it was Skype, so I got Skype, and
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice to be able to speak to you. Maybe you can call in again sometime.
Oh, sounds good. How often do you do this?
I do it every Sunday at 6 p.m. French time, which is, where are you in America?
Seattle, Washington.
So I think that's like 9 hours before. So that would be, I can't do my maths now, so 6.
Probably in the morning. Yeah.
Like 9 or 10 a.m. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, thank you, Bert. Yeah, have a lovely day.
All right. You too. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye. Yeah, I'll just take one more written question because I haven't got much time left. So I think Björn said call me, so I won't call you tonight. Glenn. Hey, Glenn. Please share your concept on nature of mind. Is this dreaming a projection of the mind? I'm so sorry. Love to get your thoughts on this quote from Hope Johnson. Thank you. It's not possible to mold the world you think you see, because what you seem to see only reflects who you think you are. If you try to change your thoughts in order to make the world how you want it, you will undoubtedly fail, because believing that you want the world to be different has the effect of making the world to you. I can't read that word. The purpose of the world you think you see is not for you to get it the way you think you want it to be. It's for realizing that what you made of yourself is totally insane, and then it's to be used as a mirror for healing the insanity. Reality is creation, which is eternal. Because this world includes things like sickness and death, it's not created and therefore it doesn't exist. Such a phenomenon is only conceivable by a mind that drives itself insane. The cure for insanity is seeing how you hurt your mind and then choosing to stop doing that. That's beautiful, Glenn. Yeah, really beautiful. And the cure is to see that who you are is this timeless presence. This timeless presence which is right here, right now. It's not something that goes in time. The person is looking to free itself in time, in what it thinks, in what it knows, in what it wants. But the freedom is in the timeless, which is right here, right now. In this experience, there is this timeless nature, which isn't subject, object, which isn't here or there. It isn't inside the body or outside the body, but yet it's perceiving itself, it knows itself. There is this right here, this knows itself, and this is the freedom. It is that shift back to who you are. It's the shift back to who you are, which is right here, right now. It's not about fixing your mind, as in fixing the personality structure, although that is advisable. Your life, your external life will reflect what the person thinks and feels. But the fixing of the mind is realizing the mind is not you. It is something that's appearing in you. And who you are is uncontainable in a thought, in an idea. It's not in the past, it's not in the future. It's this is it, baby. This is it, baby. And that is unconditioned love. Nice. Thanks, Glenn. Yeah. Okay. Das ist genug. Yeah. Okay, so that is enough for tonight. I shall see you next Sunday at 6 p.m. French time. Yeah, that is all. I wish you everything. Not just one thing, two things, or three things, but every goddamn thing. Everything, everything, everything. Yeah, lots of love.